It appears that Representative Lauren Boebert has inspired a new House rule, at least in her committee. According to Insider, House Rules Committee Chairman Jim McGovern has created a rule, especially in honor for her, in order to attempt to discourage Republicans from being insane. I kid you not, insane. In fact, this comes from journalist Robert Draper's book, Weapons of Mass Delusion, When the Republican Party Lost Its Mind. McGovern explained to Republicans that his new rule for committees says that if you are, quote unquote, batshit crazy, you're not getting an amendment. So now they explain, the book does, this is what happened when one of Boebert's flurry of nonsensical amendments turned out to be one of them. So she puts out a bunch of amendments, apparently, and one of them happens to make a tiny little bit of sense. I mean, talk about, monkeys in a room with a typewriter, right? Well, doesn't matter. Jim McGovern said, no, I'm going to block it anyway. We're going to block it from going from the House floor. And so when he did that, obviously, well, that's concerning. You don't want to see something like that happen. In a normal functional democracy, that's not how we do things. We're a republic, whatever. So now a Republican's like, why did you just block that amendment? That seemed reasonable. And again, I don't have any information about what amendment was blocked here. But it's fair to ask why. Hey, Jim, let's go. What the hell? Why did you just block that? Well, he said this, and I think this is an interesting answer. Quote, I'm sorry, we're not doing this. We're not doing this. I'm not going down that road. I'm not going to be part of any effort to legitimize people who are fucking lunatics, he told a Republican committee member. Oh, goddamn. We're getting spicy here today. Very, very spicy.
I apologize for nothing. I concede nothing.
But wait, here's the thing. Doesn't this seem unreasonable? Well, I mean, it is. I mean, we've got a sitting congressman blocking bills from certain members. Yes, that's crazy. Crazy. But at the same time, I kind of think he's got a point. And look, the most interesting thing about this is that McGovern, look, we know McGovern is not a progressive. Let's put it that way. I don't think he's somebody who has really grasped how dangerous the current Republican Party is to our system of government. They've openly embraced fascism. In fact, Draper says that McGovern had previously believed that there was room to hear out arguments from Republicans. More of like the Joe Biden kind of person. Like, they're good Republicans, but it's the MAGA Republicans that are not so good. And we got to break the fever's going to break. The famous Obama words, right? When they were doing unprecedented obstruction to Barack Obama's agenda. Okay, well, the fever did not break. In fact, it got even worse. They went even more insane. And so the breaking point for Mr. McGovern is the fact that January 6th had happened. In fact, Insider reports that McGovern was among the vast majority of Democrats who initially believed that what House members had been through on January 6th would bring them together, just as members came together after the terrorist attacks on September 11th, 2001. Well, that's the difference, though, right? This was their crazies, Republicans' crazies. And what did Republicans do? Well, they defended their crazies. Yes, they're sure at first there were some Republicans that spoke out against it. And then afterwards, what did they do? Well, they fell in line. They fell in line because what the Republican Party is right now is, well, they're filled with betas. Beta male. That's what they do. And they follow daddy. And in this case, daddy is Trump. So now, as we saw, they didn't come together. Republicans went further into the collective madness and insanity and fascism, and they decided to bring all the cowards in their party, the majority of the party, to heel. One Republican member told McGovern that, quote, because of the riot, he would vote to uphold election results, but then changed his mind by the time the vote had occurred. Explained to McGovern, quote, I won't come back otherwise to Congress. Oh, we got a real profile and courage there.
Beta male.
But understand that is the average Republican congressman now. There's like a handful of congressional Republicans that, yes, have been willing to publicly disavow fascism that has taken over the party. And a lot of them aren't there. They're just not there anymore. They're gone. And here's the thing. Voters, Republican voters, they want the fascism. It's bizarre. But again, we've heard a lot of Republican people, voters, talk about how they want Donald Trump to be a dictator. Literally. Yes, they want... And look, they say, oh, authoritarianism, no, we hate that. Except when it's our guy, then we love authoritarianism. It's scary. It's incredibly scary. And look, I would just add that we can go into how, neoliberal economics, which is essentially free markets and deregulation, etc., corporate rule, has put a lot of people in, terrible financial ground, while rich people have gotten richer. A lot of people in this country, they've got no health care. They're massively shredded safety nets. Government officials are corrupt because of power of lobbying, lobbyists, and money in politics. Now, all of that, these conditions actually make the ground very fertile for fascism. And so you have authoritarian demagogues that will come up, and Donald Trump was one of them. He rose up in the Republican Party, Donkey Konged everybody in the head, and said, don't worry, I'm going to save all your problems. It's me. I'm going to make America great again. Okay? Well, I mean, look, if you're somebody who has suffered economically in this country, well, then yeah, of course you'd want to make America great again. Yeah, it's not working for me. So you have this group of voters that does have some justification in their anger against the establishment, but at the same time have been fed a steady stream of lies, fabrications, demagoguery, racism, hatred, etc. And all of this, by the way, this misinformation is boosted by algorithms on social media, where, of course, outrage is one of the biggest things that, drive traffic. And so you have people, you have grifters, you have liars that will, come up with the most outrageous things that they can say, the biggest falsehoods that will stir people up. Oh, they're eating babies, they're drinking their blood, they're cracking their heads open and just slurping it right out with a straw. I can't believe they're doing that to the babies. But the Democrats are. I've got video. Of course, they don't have any of that. No evidence for that, but it doesn't matter. People's brains get turned off by this stuff when they're inundated by a whole bunch of nonsense. And so when people are stirred up, when they're fired up, well, when they're angry, it shuts down the brain. They can't think critically anymore. And they're inundated with conspiracy theories like QAnon and the cat litter boxes in schools, which, again, there's no basis for reality that the furries are in the schools and that the schools are putting out cat litter boxes for them. The real story about the cat litter being in school is actually far more disturbing than what the right wing is saying. And the reason that they're keeping some schools have kept litter is because of mass shootings, so that the children might have a place to relieve themselves while they're in lockdown, while a mass shooter murders their classmates. And then afterwards to clean up the blood. That's the real truth about the cat litters in schools, okay? But you see what the right wing has turned that into. Something about the first, when in reality, no, it's a story about how maybe we need to do something about gun control. We need to do something about people that are able to get these high-powered weapons and murder children. But you see the pervasiveness and how all of this is just absolutely disgusting, and how it warps people's brains. So that said, right? These are the right-wing voters. And these are the people who put these Republicans in office, and these Republicans are incredibly scared of offending them. When you think about it, the average Republican voter that believes in this stuff, they're the real snowflakes. But let's circle back down to McGovern, right? So let me just say that I don't like that this has to happen, right? In a normal world, do I want chair people to shut down amendments from those because they don't like them or their views? No. 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 And again, in a normal world, of course not. Because look, I can imagine that happening to someone like AOC or Rashida Tlaib or, progressive in office, any progressive lawmaker. I think about that happening and I absolutely hate it, right? I hate the idea. But when it comes to people who, I don't know, voted to not certify the election and try to break our system of government, that's a good line. That's a good line, and maybe a good reason to come up with the Boebert rule. And so at the end of the day, I think McGovern is doing, something in his own committee, at least, to try to rein in some of the crazier ideas. And that is to separate them, ostracize them. And it's not because they're anti-establishment. And let's be very clear that Lauren Boebert doesn't represent the people. She's not some, warrior for average Americans. No, she's not a populist. She's an extremist, and she's a scam artist. Remember, she has violated the Stock Act. She's made insane mileage reimbursements that could have been used to pay off a tax lien on her now defunct restaurant. She's been accused of not paying her employees very well, and as well as not paying unemployment. In fact, 5 former Shooters employees had told Mother Jones magazine that Boebert didn't even pay them on time. Several said that they were paid in cash without taxes deducted, the unemployment taxes. So that's who Lauren Boebert is. And that's just a snippet of all the horrible things that she's said, done. And again, just a sampling. At the end of the day, she is a scammer, a fascist enabler, and doesn't belong anywhere near power.